Robert Sanborn represents us, okay? He was the rector here, and he was quite a wealthy rector, and when he died, he bequeathed all his estate for the building of this church.
What it means to be a wealthy rector?
No, that's what it means to be a wealthy dead rector. Okay, if you look up there, that middle face up there, the one with the red on it, that's supposed to be Robert Sanborn, and his picture's at the back. And the other person I think is really rather interesting is, in fact, as I learn more about him, is William Winford, who was indeed the builder and the head of the project and the mason, who built this place between 1380 and 1400. And his image is the one in the blue up there. So there they are. He's the guy that paid for it, and he's the guy that built it. So here today we have Lisa Etherton, who works for our main Sally Strachey, who owns the company, but she's the contracts manager for Sally Strachey, and has got a long history. What do you say? Worked for them for 17 years, starting off as a conservator. So she represents William Winford, and we represent the bloke that paid for it. At which point I'll hand over to you.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for showing an interest and coming along this evening. I'm sure curiosity is getting the better of you all. So what I thought tonight I would do is just run through the different techniques that we're using on the tower and try and get it across to you, because I'm quite sort of like basic in my terms. There's going to be no fancy words, or sort of, you should all be able to run along and understand exactly what I'm saying. If you've got any questions at all, you can stop me and ask, but I do tend to ramble and go from one thing to another, so if you do knock me too far off course, I don't quite know where we're going to end up this evening, but we'll give it a go anyway. Have the first slide, please. So I've just put this slide in just to sort of illustrate a little bit about the company that I work for, Sally Strachey Conservation. As Rob said, I've worked for them for 17 years now, since graduating, starting off as a stone conservator, working my way up through the ranks, and now I contract manage jobs for them. We undertake lots of different types of work. Church towers are our bread and butter, but we do everything right the way across, from large buildings. We've just finished a contract at Apsley House in London, to small monuments in churches, or working for lots of different people, from English Heritage, National Trust, all your big players, to working for private clients as well, doing the little job. So there's nothing that we won't touch, nothing that we won't do if it sort of involves lime and looking after our historic sort of elements that we're so lucky to be surrounded by. Okay, so next one, please. So on the left, we've got the tower that you know and love. That's an historical view of your tower. And on the right, we've got the wrapping round it with the magic going on inside that everyone's very curious about. Well, you should be, because it's pretty amazing what's going on underneath those that debris netting. Quite a large scaffold as well, isn't it? You can see it for miles and miles. It's such a focal point to your town. You can see it from everywhere, and I think the red illustrates that and sort of makes it stand out even more, and makes it look bigger than it actually is as well. I think lots of the time when the scaffold comes down, you're like, oh, it's not that, it sort of makes it look small again. Okay. So this is what your tower, your church, is built with. It's a very what's the nice way of saying, not a very good stone. It's a conglomerate stone, so it's made up of different textures. You've got different hardnesses and soft, you've got everything's mixed together, and it's not ideal. You know, it's not like a lovely piece of ashlar where we've got the same running right the way through. We've got a lot of confusion in there and a lot of different materials and elements working together and sometimes not in harmony. So you can't really see them that well. Can you sort of make out what I'm trying to show you here? We've got the stone is deteriorating. You've got cubing, you've got laminations, you've got cracks, and it's all, the surface of the stone is all opening up to the weather. And I'm sure you know, sort of with any sort of natural material, as soon as it's opened up to the elements and the water can get in, and then it freezes and thaws, and you've got expansion and contraction, movement, and it doesn't like it. It starts moving around and it starts falling off, which with a church tower isn't ideal because it does tend to be quite heavy stone, and especially when it's dropped from a great height, it can make a bit of a mess if it hits people. And it's, you know, it's such a beautiful sort of green that you've got around, you know, and it's well used, and so you want to have that security of what's up there is going to stay up there. So the stone on no, not yet. Sorry, no. To the left is the stone before it's been defraced. So what we call by defracing is taking off all of the loose elements. We take out the pointing because it was pointed with a cement mortar, which isn't ideal for the stone because the stone needs to breathe. The stone is constantly breathing, and the joints should always be weaker than the actual stone. So originally when it was built with lime mortar, and the joints would breathe, allowing the stone surface to stay intact. As soon as you start introducing materials that are harder than the stone, then the stone will actually try and breathe through its face. And when we've got the issues that we've got here, that's when you start getting spalling and bits falling off. So we defrace, remove all the old repair systems that have been put up there with good intention, but inappropriate materials. And so then on the right, that's what we're faced with once all the loose matter has been removed, or the dusts, and the surface has been taken back to a strong substrate. That's what we need to work from. I mean, it's basics, isn't it? It's that the foolish man builds his house on the sand. You need something strong, something firm and solid to be working with. So that's the first stage of what we did. We defraced the whole of the tower and got off about 25 rubble bags, 25 kilogram bags of loose matter, which is quite a lot, isn't it? So the next slide, please. So this is the conservator's secret weapon. This is our plan of attack. It's a beautiful lime putty. And now we use this as a binder for all of our sands and aggregates and stone dusts, to then be able to prepare the right recipes, put together the right recipes for the right mixtures, because with your church tower, as you know, well, with your whole of your church, the nature of this stone, you've got a lot of things going in one ashlar block. You've got a lot of colours and textures, and there's a lot going on there. So with a conservation approach, we try to colour match the mortars so you don't know that they're there. They're doing the job, but they're doing it like secretly. They don't sing and shout about it. They just blend in and allow the stone to breathe as well. So this is our lime putty that we've been using on this tower. It's 7 years, it's been laid down for 7 years, and the lime sort of slides on top of each other and becomes really rich and sticky, and allows that sort of, with those adhesive qualities, to stick to anything, which is, you know, which is what you want, because the repairs that we're doing up there, you want them to stay there. So, armed with the binder, we then use different stone dusts and aggregates and silica to make a colour match mortar, sort of site specific. We aim ourselves with, it's almost like attacking it with a palette of colour, so a bit here, a bit there, you know, and sort of like be artistic. And the same with the pointing as well, really, just so it all sits back and doesn't scream and shout at you. So the surface repair system. Now, don't be alarmed. These following images are not your church. Not that it's bad what we're doing, it's just that it's a Blue Lias church, and if you see the colours, it could be like, oh my God, what are you doing? But this surface repair system we used on Othery Church locally, and it was so successful. It's kind of the same thing with your stone as with the Blue Lias. You've got the laminating and the cubing going on, and a lot of the time in the past it's been we've got to replace it, which is a shame because it's only going on sort of, you know, about this far into the stone, and it's ever so costly to take out a whole ashlar block and put one back in again when it's not really that, you know, it's not right the way through. So we do a surface repair system. So, oh, I can see there, can't I? Sorry. So we clean down the surface, take out the pointing, clean it all down, as I said, defrass it. We don't clean the surface so it's absolutely clean, because we still need to have that patina, we still need to have that, you know, the natural sort of look. We don't want the tower to look as though it's just landed from somewhere. That would be hideous. You've got to be very sympathetic to the age of the tower. We don't, it's old, you know, it's, if we look that good when we're that old, then, you know, that would be amazing. You need to be respectful of the aesthetics. That's, you know, very, very important. So we take out the pointing, clean down the surface just enough so we know what we're doing. So the one on the left, you can see it starts opening up these cracks and fissures, and then we use a colour match mortar, and it's really sticky and it pushes in and it holds in. So we push it into the surface, and as the one on the right, you can see when the pointing is out. Sometimes, because with pointing you want to get twice the width of the depth of the joint to go in to have a successful pointing sort of scheme, but a lot of the time you can get in even further, you know, really pack it, get that goodness back into the fabric of the building. So, please. So with the Lias, the same as your stone, it holds the water really well. It's quite absorbent, and we can use this to our advantage, because the longer it takes for a lime mortar to carbonate, the better, the stronger the mix. So the walling is saturated and allowed to sink in, so it's over a number of days. Before you're even working on an area, you'll start preparing and getting it ready. And then the slide on the right, that's why I said don't be concerned, they're not the colours we're using here. But we mix up, like I say, a palette of different colours. And then the next slide, please. Then we've got the mortar in there now for the large packing joints that we can pack out and fill. And this is like a slurry mix now. It's like a consistency of like a double cream. So we paint it on the surface, and then we rub it into the surface, and then we paint it onto the surface, and we rub it in. And with doing this process, you're pushing the materials into these fine cracks that you've got, and you're pushing it in, and you're stopping the water from getting in. So then there's going to be, you're interlocking the whole of the face back up again. So as you can see, keep rubbing and rubbing into the surface, and it's not shocking, that, is it? It's not an opaque coating. It still needs to have that translucency to be able to see the different variations of the colours of the stone, which, you know, you're blessed to have with this church. It's beautiful, all the different textures and colours.
So that's a technical tool up there.
The hand, yes, very technical. That's the Hessian, yes.
And just tell me, what's that stuff that's going on there?
It's a shelter coat, so it's a mixture of the lime and then very finely sieved sands and stone dusts. So it's like a mortar, really fine. So it's because with a mortar, when you pack in, you need to have the size of the aggregate in there to hold its own so it doesn't crack.
Does it actually coat, so like polishing a shoe?
Yeah.
It coats the stone, is it?
If you imagine your stone and then you've got your crack in there, so you're putting it on, you're rubbing it in, and it's and then you're putting it on, rubbing it in.
So it goes into cracks?
Yes. Because you don't want it on the surface.
You don't want it on the surface, that's my question, I suppose, yeah.
Well, you can, but for this sort of technique of getting it in and interlocking where you've got these problems that are going on behind the surface, just behind the surface. It doesn't need to be on every stone. It's just in, you'll see sort of, I've got some images of where you have to, really. Yeah, you're not blessed to have that much good stone up there. So, but it's a system that once it's been done, it's not like, oh yeah, it's there, oh yeah, it's there. You don't know it's been done. It's there, and it's not shouting about it. It's just being. It's the sort of the same ratios as a mortar, so it's like a 3-to-1 with the stone dust and the sand, but it's really finely sieved. That's not the question answered, is it?
So presumably, once those particles have gone in the crack,
Yeah.
then actually what will happen is the moisture will soak away gradually into the stone and then fill it with very fine cracks.
Yes, it's that.
Those big cracks where you're using thicker.
Well, you have to, for the bigger cracks, you need to have larger aggregate, because if you have a fine mix, it cracks and it falls out. So you need to have you've got to think about the size of the hole and then adjust the matrix. So if you imagine like a mortar, you know, the bigger bits you need, and then you need your porous particulates around that, and then it all interlocks together. You know, you get your angular silica and it all locks in, and you've got your binder coating it all. It's like baking a cake, really. It's that sort of consistency. It's got to be even, and it's got to have the strength. And with the lime as well, with it being an old lime, it's got the ability to soak into the stone and give the stone the strength that it's lost. It's really clever stuff.
Is this a process that's been developed over centuries, or is it fairly?
It's the ancients. It's how your church was built. It's using these techniques. It's what the stone wants. Your lime putty is your stone that has been slaked. It's a piece of bath stone, and it's heated to over 800 degrees, and then it's slaked, and then you get your putty, and then you build with it. You'd burn your stone when you were building your tower. You'd have your stone in the furnace, and then you'd be slaking your own lime on site whilst you're building your tower. The two materials work hand in hand.
So when we use concrete and the other things that they use, it's cheap, because it's
When Portland cement came out, 1860 something, it was revolutionary. It was amazing, fantastic material. We wouldn't have the structures and the buildings and the bridges that we've got now if we didn't have this fantastic material. So they wanted to use it everywhere. You don't blame them. You know, you don't have to tend it. You don't have to look after it. You can put it in and you can go home. With lime putty, you've got to wrap it up. If we've got frosts, we need to get the bubble wrap out, you know, and it's problematic and it takes a long time to look after it. Whereas with the Portland, we didn't have that problem. So they used it everywhere. The Victorians, you know, thank God for them. It keeps us in business because we're rectifying their very good intentions, because the stone doesn't like the cement. It's too hard for it. It pushes it off. Get rid. And then as soon as it starts pushing, and then the water's allowed to get in, that deterioration accelerates. And before you know it, you know, you've got all these hideous things happening. But no, it wasn't because it was cheap. It's because it was amazing. And they just wanted to use it everywhere. So... the lime putty. Yes, with stone dusts for colouring, and stone dusts provide porous particulates which hold water, that then allows the mortar to go off nice and slowly, creating a really hard mortar. And then we need the silica from the sand to create that interlocking matrix that then gives the mortar its strength. And it's gauged, so we have the correct consistency for adhesion, and we've also got the strength. So we mix around, you know, different, some of them are more, they've got more sand in, and where we need the richness of colour, then we need to use more stone dust because the silica doesn't provide colour. So it's just like having that sort of, you know, we can pick and choose and adapt to whatever we need in a really sort of simple way. It's not that complicated.
Where do you get your lime from?
This one is Cumbrian lime. We tend to buy a lot of lime in and then have it in our workshop, and then we keep it, because when you buy lime, it's, excuse me, normally about 6 months old, and it's got nothing to it. It's got no poof, you know, it's sloppy. You need it creamy. You need it to really, stick your hand in it, and it needs to have that holding power. So yeah, we buy it in and lay it down. So then we're always ahead of ourselves. This one's Cumbrian, but we get it from all over the place, because you can get when the putty's been slaked from different stones, you can get different powers and properties from it. So if it's like a blue lias putty, then we've got that sort of dull grey sort of chalkiness. And then if it's been slaked in with like a charcoal fire, then you can get flecks of charcoal in it. So then you can, you know, just using it aesthetically to what you want. Pardon? It probably would have been the stone that they used. They would have slaked it and used. I'm not too sure, but there's rumours, isn't it, that it's from where the car park was. But I don't think we know for sure, do we? No.
People say Yeovil stone, is that right?
I don't know. It's not a stone I've ever come across before, really. Yeah. Makes perfect sense. Yeah. No. It's just simplicity, isn't it? It's always the easiest option that they would have had. That's usually the answer. It's like with the sands for the mortars, you know, where did they get the sand from? Just look in the river, it's there. It's...
So maybe we should have dated to knock it down and build a house then.
Yeah. It's not very conservation though, is it? Yeah, true. But it's nice to have a bit of history around, isn't it?
You don't actually coat the stone, do you? You repair. And the stone that's actually there.
Yeah.
You leave.
Yes.
You don't coat that then. You know, I'm just saying, you know, an overall protection of it. You just go where the repairs are needed.
Yes, yeah. It's sort of, because if you was to coat the whole of the tower, it would, I mean, you've probably seen, like, driving around when shelter coating's done incorrectly. It can look, like, so peculiar because you've just got this lump of a building and it's one colour. That shouldn't be. It needs to grin through.
So when it's all done and the scaffolding comes down, we look at the tower.
You'll say, what have they been doing?
But for the bulk of it, will we see the original stone from 1380?
Well, ask me that at the end of the talk when I've showed you. This is the line technique that we're using. I want to show you, excuse me, the armoury that we've got to attack this sort of project. So this is the first one. You can't really see with this. I can see it better on that screen. Just to show you the differing of colours that we need to use. So can you pick that up? And this is before it's been rubbed back, so it's quite sort of bold, but that's not the look. That's it. If it was left like that, which shelter coat sometimes is, that's when it's done wrong, but it needs to be rubbed in. But that's just to show you the colours. And then when it was repointed, it interlocks it all back. Again, your joints are filled and flush, and your surface all reads as one again. This tower was buggered, absolute. That surface, it was terrible, and now it's not, and it's really pleasing to see that we didn't. I think it was about 3 stones we needed to replace, and that's an achievement. I'm really chuffed. Do you know Othery? Othery. It's not very far away. It's worth a look. You can see, it's like you can see the church tower for miles around. It's something else.
Did you say that you had to replace 3 stones?
Yes. No, sorry, this is another church. This is just to show you the technique, because I managed to record the technique happening on this, because we didn't quite know what we were doing, really. So we were diarising right the way through with different techniques, and then this is the technique that was successful. No, this isn't you. This is you coming up next. Okay, so with our armoury, tile repair, and that's the loss of the stone that you've been seeing. So this is your window on the turret, these slit windows, and they were really heavily built up. They had a little slip of perspex in them, and then they were a slit. But as you can see, once we removed all the inappropriate material, the cement, this is what we're faced with, and it's like a donkey's hind leg, isn't it? And it's like, what do? You can't use mortar on that because it's too vulnerable. You can only build at mortar to a certain extent. You can't use massive globs of it. You know, it's only to a certain area that it fills. So it was a bit like, ooh, what do we do now? But the architect is sort of very keen on tile repairs, which, you know, look good and solve a problem. So this is just to show how the tile repairs are being built up. This is on the right, we've got a detail of the bottom left-hand section of the image on the left. We have to take out enough stone to give the tile a good bed. We can't just have it sort of thin. It's got to go in a certain amount of the way to interlock itself in. Next one, please. And this is our mason on site. It's all got to be scribed in as well. It's not just flat tiles, especially with the window. You need to get the correct front profile, and then we also need to scribe it into the back. So each piece of the tile is bespoke as we're building up, because we've got a natural material that we're fixing to. So each section is drawn out onto the grinder, and then it's cut out. That's what all the noise is, a bit of a racket. And so then this is it building back up again. So a lot of the material that's there is built up in stages, which then gives it a strength. And then we've got the sort of ability to bend round corners with stone, which is quite tricky. So this is the answer when we need to have movement and we need to have that organic feel, then this is what we use. This is that's a build-up of tiles. So we've got the stone slip tiles, and then each one is cut out, and then like a sandwich, build it up and up, and then the mortar in the middle. So yeah. No, that's how it comes out with to have that build up. If we have two bigger blocks, it's all about aesthetics as well with tile repairs. They need to be uniform, but then have like an undulating sort of ability as well. They're not for everybody, but yeah, they so. Because the stones that are around that slot window, they're pretty big stones. So we've got structural issues. You can only take a stone back so far, and then you've got to look at the beds as well that are there. So if we were to take out that stone, because it's, you know, it's not, because with this stone especially, it doesn't cut out and then stop like polite stone should. It goes, oh gosh, and it with the irregularity of the lead down of the conglomerate stone, you've got hard bits, you've got soft bits. That hard bit will stop there, and then you've got a massive soft bit. It's all unknowns. So we take it back to a certain point where you're comfortable, that you've got back enough for stability, and then you can, if you was to replace that sort of thing with stone, you'd be dismantling the turret, really. So this is a better option.
One of the other things is that if you're doing a compress by a huge massive precipitate, and if you take that out, all these stresses that currently go down through the old divert, they rearrange the
so that that force can then go back down. So what you're doing is to move the body of the stone next to it, and then probably move where the damage is going to be, because there's a very good sensitive force further in.
Wait to the next slide. Oh, you're an impatient lot. I'm telling a story here. Okay. Yes, here we are. So the one on the left, I don't know if you can see, because I can't see. It's got like sticky outy bits. There are armatures. And that's like, they're clay. Because if you use metal, like I said, with the expansion and the contraction, we want to keep things as simple as possible. So it's a clay armature that we drill a hole, we stick it in, and it sticks out like that. And then that provides a skeleton for then the mortar to link onto and attach onto. So we put the armatures, actually I've got a slide later on that might show it a little bit better. You drill in the armatures and then you pack it out with the mortar, which you can see on the right-hand side one. I've got one later on, actually. This isn't on this series, because this is all works in progress. So this is fresh. This is what's happening if you went up there now. It isn't finished. So, yeah, that's how we dealt with that slit window with the tile repair. But then if I can show you this as well. With the tile repair, we can also use that on the ashlar. So the image on the left-hand side, we've got the tiles going in. And I don't know if you can see sort of, it's drilled on the, just above, I need a pointer, but just above where the top tile is, you can just about make out two sort of dowels, and they're drilled in to the wall. So then they're anchoring it as well. They're holding it in. Pardon? Oh, well done, thank you. Yeah, so we've got the dowels holding it in as well. And then the image on the right-hand side, you can see what I was saying about following that undulating form. So we've not got sharp edges. It's wavy almost and sits back. And this is the top belfry window that was absolutely hideous. It was like, oh my God, when the access was up there, it was like, what on earth is happening here? What are we going to do here? Ah. But now it looks beautiful. The one on the left-hand side shows you sort of the laminating, but it's not laminating that way, which you'd expect. It was laminating that way, and it was just like, oh. So coupled with the line technique that I was talking about, and with the tile repairs, we've managed to interlock it all back, and it'll all stay up there now. It wasn't going to before. It was quite scary.
So it's worth doing it.
Yay, it was, of course. And then the image on the right-hand side is how it's starting to build up with the washes and the mortars and camouflaging it up. I mean, you'll always be able to see that they're there, but they should look as though they're meant to be there, and they're doing a really good job. Because you've got so much going on there visually, it should all just sink back. And then with the windows, you know, it'll start, as towers are meant to be viewed, you windows and your eyes being taken up to the splendour. You know, that's what towers are all about. Onwards and upwards. And this is a picture of the QS inspecting our work, checking it's up to. And look at the smile on his face. He's so happy with us. And the blankets are all, I don't know if you can even see through the debris. Everything's wrapped up. Because like I said, the longer it takes for it to go off, the better, the stronger the mortar. So it's all wrapped up with blankets. up there as well. Okay, and then we have the stone replacement, where we've got no other option than to take the stone out. And it's so difficult to get it out as well. Like I said, with the hardness and the softness, it's been very, very testing, a very testing operation for the masons. They've not been best pleased. But, you know, there you go. You win some, you lose some, don't you? It's Sherborne stone. Because we can't get... No. And there was a lot of research, wasn't there, before the project even began to be thought about, as to what stone you were going to use. It's a real problem. And then it had to go through loads of tests and all sorts, didn't it? Pardon? Yes, everything. Yeah, and trials were done before the project was even specified to see the best plan of action, because when you've got nothing to use and you need an alternative, then obviously you need to trial and make sure that you've got the best option. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm. Mm. Or marry in. Yeah. No, there's a lot of stone there. It will be only back a certain amount and then a rubble infill, but it does go back in a long way. Apart from your turret, that's not that thick at all in some places. But yeah, and then thought I'd put a picture of the masons putting the blocks in. They're always at really awkward heights, the scaffold access. Always the stones need to be in like there or there. This one's not too bad, actually. But just sort of, showing how you'd use the scaffold that we've got, and then you build up a platform and you work the stone up to get it to the right level. Double checking you've got the right size. You don't want to put it in and then have to take it back out again. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. They are faced, so they're not sawn flat. They have got a texture to them, but it would be really silly to put a stone in and then beat it up. Sometimes we do it. Aesthetically, it's been difficult on your tower because especially on this elevation, where you've got the sharp arris running down, and it's like it's been eaten away, isn't it? And then you put a sharp arris block in, and then the one beneath isn't even there, and so then it's like, oh right, we'll replace that one, but where on earth do you stop? And then that's when the tile repair comes in to marry, to join the gap. Yes, it's honest repair, or because it's all part of your tower's history. It's 2014, 2015. This is us with our all our knowledge. We're doing the best that we can do with what we've got, and it's all part of its history. And yes, it should be seen and documented for the future, for when they need to do it again. Or
when do you think that'll be?
Let's not think about it.
And then this is the new stone in and pointed up, but so this shows where we've got, we've left that stone in the middle, and then there's a repair on no, actually they're both the same, but beneath the two stones you've got that area of mortar that we've built up to sharpen that arris, just to because if that wasn't there, that would look really daft, wouldn't it? So, but it's where do you stop? You've got to take each section and just use your nonce and make it right. Okay. So then mortar repairs, just to run through our mortar repairs. Here on the right-hand side, you can see the armature that I was on about a little bit more clearly, the white thing that's by the trefoil. Actually, you can see it on the left as well. So getting the mortar to stick to the stone, we get a slurry mix, which is the mortar, and then watered down to that sort of cream, double cream consistency. And then you paint that onto the surface of the stone after the stone's been cleaned, defrosted, strong, ready to go. So you can see it sort of like shiny as Gosha's painting it on. And then you wait for that to go matte and start sinking into the stone. And then when that goes matte, then we put on the lime mortar. And then that all helps it all to stick together, and building up larger areas with the armatures. So where the cusp is, the bottom cusp on the trefoil, we've got a structure to build to, because if you was just to blob a bit of mortar on there, it's going to fall off. So it's all about making it stick, giving it that adhesive quality. And like I said before, it might look like organised chaos, but that's what we've got around us. We've got all these buckets. It's like, I need this one now, I need that one, and you use it. Just like an artist palette, really. You know what it needs, and you keep stepping back. You must always step back and look. You can become too involved. You need to keep looking at the bigger picture, and also as well thinking about what you guys are going to see. Because it might look really bold and when you're up there, but when you're down here, you can't see that, and it needs to be, for detail, especially on the windows. Because the form of the windows on the trefoils and the quatrefoils, you need to have that definition and those sharp lines and that sort of intensity, and that's with mortars. So that's our little armoury. And then there's just this is the same window that I thought I'd put in to show you the building back up to the full profile of the window, and that mortar, once that's carbonated, that's gone off, you won't notice that. That's going to be stone as far as everybody's concerned, and that will make the window read correctly again, rather looking that it's been eaten. So yes. And then this is your team. First thing on a Monday morning, got those happy little faces. So that's it, really. Your church is in our hands, and I think the team are doing a fantastic job. And when the wrapping comes off, the wrapping paper, it'd be like opening a present for you, and hopefully you're going to be very pleased with what we've done. So. Yes, it will. And then you all have to raise money to get the rest of it done. Well, it's ongoing, isn't it, with a beautiful building like this? You're blessed to have it, but you're also cursed with its maintenance, really. But then,
Does it for people?
No, half of them were up the scaffold. This was at 5 to 8, and they were already up there. That shows you they love their jobs on a Monday morning. Very impressive. No, you've got about, it fluctuates between sort of 5 all the time, and then up to about 9 when we've got the masons on as well. Yeah.
Is it hard to assess the work needed to be done? You could have the scaffold.
The specification is very long and very thorough, but the actual works that have been specified, the techniques are there in the specification. That's
When you find something, like you said, you got up there and it was just awful.
yeah.
How would you know that? That's what I'm saying.
Well, you don't. That's the problem that I've got at the moment with the QS. We're trying to quantify the works that we're doing and making sure that we're doing enough and doing it right. But then it's how do you charge for that, because it's an unknown quantity before you get there. But you've got a really good team here. The architect is fantastic. The QS is fantastic. So we're all working together, and it's not, you know, it's all for the tower's best interest. So.
No method of actually, no apparatus that you could use to look up and down the tower before.
Even if you did, until you actually start, you don't know. You can look at the face of it, that's fine. You know, we do rope access surveys, in-house we've got those, and I'm always at church towers, and until you actually start the work and start opening up and seeing how it's given, you can spend all the money in the world on surveys, but until you start. But it'll be right, it'll be, you'll get, it's unknown.
The lad I spoke to this morning came from near Bath, from Bath and Chippenham, but they all come, you have to assemble them from afar, because I don't think there's a whole lot of these experts, and they give you place.
There's quite a few of us around. I mean, we're based just in between Wales and Glastonbury, but then I come from Wiltshire. Nick, who you saw, he's from Box. He's our site manager. He's fantastic, but he's run a lot of jobs for me in the past. He's done quite a few in Bath, and with a job like this, you need to have somebody who knows his stuff. So you've got the best of the best. So you're really lucky. And I can pull rank and sort of get my team, because it's my job, so I can get the best team that I can. So, yeah, we do come from everywhere. And lots of, not on this job, because we are local ourselves, but we do work around the country a lot. I mean, I'm in Loughborough on Monday. I was in London the week before. We're everywhere trying to spread the love. Ooh, I've loaded up the site. It should be April. End of April.
Be good.
Yeah, 2017. Damn, she called me out. Yeah. There's a lot to do up there. Yes. Oh God, that's been awful, hasn't it? And right at the top as well. Yeah. No, you do suffer for your art. I mean, it's the best job in the world in the summer when you're all stuck in offices or whatever, and we're all there, but winter, nobody envies us then. But yeah, it's the nature of the work.
Is there a better time of year to do it?
Yes. No, winter's not good. We don't like.
Whether it was.
No, with the mortars, they don't like frost. If you get a frost on the mortar, then they will fail. So we have to go that extra mile with the protections, which take time because you've got to cover it up and then you've got to take it all off. It's a longer process, but always with grant-funded projects, they're always at the wrong time of year, because by the time you've done all the paperwork and you've got the forms back and you've sent them back and blah, 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 it's like, oh God, we've only got 6 months to do the contract, whereas before you had 2 years to do it. It's never right. We're always inside in the summer and outside in the winter. But, such is life. Yeah. Any more questions? You know everything there is. Yeah. Oh, right. Excellent. Yeah, I do. Can I have that one? Can I have that one? Thank you. Is there? Oh, smashing. Thank you very much.
You might also all like to know that we have got the Bishop of Bells to help us come celebrate the completion of the project and the work done on the bells together on the 20th of September. So come and sing with the Bishop.
And there won't be a scaffold for anyone to come
I hope so. Anyway, yeah. Yes, I mean, I know Roger understands, but one of the things that Lisa said early on was when we finish this, we've got to wait for the mortar to cure, the lime to cure, and that's going to take 3 months. So when we finish doing the work, we won't be able to ring the bells for another 3 months, but we'll be okay for when the bishop gets here. But I hope you found that interesting. I've been absolutely enthralled. I mean, I think it was, when did we first apply to English Heritage? I think it was 2011. Jeez. We've been sort of going through the process of trying to get some funding, and then before you came on board, all the sort of development stuff of doing those surveys and finding stone and stuff, that was all last year, and now we've got the work here. But actually, as you can see, we've got Andrew Faulkner is our architect. He's brilliant. He's a real expert. He's a prize-winning architect, and his attention to detail and the way that he runs his part of the team is fantastic. And as you say, Adrian, who's Lisa keeps talking about the QS. The QS is the quantity surveyor who actually looks at the work, says, yes, okay, you have done this amount of work, and this is what your bill is for this month. So the 4 or 5 of us are sort of working together, and it was a really good team, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's a joy. So there you go. And talking to teams, thank you all for coming. Thank you for coffee and the chocolate biscuits.
Yeah, thank you.
And thank you, David, for looking after all the IT stuff. And most of all, thank you, Lisa, for giving up a Friday evening and coming here to
No, that's fine.
send me over.
Thank you.
So,